Vampire: The Masquerade Redemption is an action RPG developed by Nihilistic Studios, released in 2000. Set in the World of Darkness setting by White Wolf Publishing, specifically drawing on the tabletop RPG Vampire: The Masquerade, Redemption is an engrossing look into this world that is unfortunately often overshadowed by its spiritual sequel, Bloodlines. Want to play it with me?
It is a world of darkness. The sin of Cain has spawned the cursed horror that stalks the night in search of living blood. The kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against each other in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade.
Alright, first things first, this game is buggy and irritating to get working. Because of this, we will be using a mod called Age of Redemption, which has some balance changes, but we'll mostly be using it just for the bug fixes. There are no difficulty options in the base game, so we head on in.
My name is Christof. I am a man of God and a soldier in heaven's cause. Mother Mary.
Nay, my lord. Sister Aneska.
Where am I?
In Prague, at the convent of the Knights of the Red Cross. Now hush. Thou hast suffered a grievous wound and must rest.
I must return to my...
My lord, peace, I beg thee. Thy brave captain left a letter before thy sword brethren continued on their crusade.
I thank thee for this news, my lady, and for thy care. Surely thou hast drawn me back from the jaws of death itself.
'Twas the Lord that saw fit to spare thy life. We humble sisters simply attended thee.
Oh, Sister Aneska is too modest. She ministered to thy shattered body day and night, long after all others had given up hope. She did indeed restore thy life. I am Archbishop Giza. Thou hast done great service for Christendom, young sir. Tonight I shall make prayers of thanksgiving that thou live, and may send more sinners to hell.
I offer thee all my gratitude for thy service. I am in thy debt.
The rosy life in thy cheek is payment enough.
We are immediately given control of our character as a woman screams in the other room. As you can see, we move by simply clicking on the ground. We find the nuns under attack by strange creatures with a strange name. We click to move, so reason stands we click the enemies to attack.
Christof, thy wound!
Nay, 'tis nothing. A scratch.
Yeah, that's a bad scratch.
The mighty walls of Prague once held all demons at bay. The Schlachta have overtaken a silver mine to the east. With a haven so close to the city, they boldly walk the streets by night to kill. And worse than kill. Many have been dragged alive from their homes for some unspeakable purpose.
I will never let them take thee.
Oh, sir.
Though we did not get to make our character, we do get to make dialogue choices throughout the game. Typically, there are 3 kinds we'll be making: inconsequential ones, which just change a bit of dialogue, ones that actually do affect how the game proceeds, and choices that don't necessarily change the game immediately, but affect a stat called humanity. I'll get into the specifics of this stat later, but for now, know that for this playthrough, we'll be trying to keep our humanity high. I'll put these indicators on choices that increase or decrease humanity. Also, I know the way the game handles subtitles is kind of weird. Lines alternate between being highlighted and not, and the lowest portion is what is currently being said. Alright, back to the video game, gamers.
Tomorrow, I shall venture into the silver mine and flush the vermin from their holes.
Thou must not. Thy wound is too great.
Nay, I am resolved. They will pay in blood for the fright they have given thee.
Oh, sir, should they harm thee, my heart...
Come away, Ineska. Thou hast wasted enough of good Sir Christof's time with thy idle chatter. Christof, the Lord smiles upon thy wrath. I shall pray for thy victory.
I shall not fail.
So there's a couple of things going on with our UI. First, there's Christof. That's us. This flashing icon here is our quest log. It flashes when we have a new objective. Opening it will often be our primary indication of just what exactly we're supposed to do. Over here is our quick use items, which at the moment holds a letter we can read.
My good kinsman Christof, thy bravery carried the day in the Battle of the Moravian Hills. Thy sword brethren crushed the pagan barbarians and now chase their scattered hordes into eastern Hungary. Once the last of the heathens are routed, our garrison shall return to Prague, and thou mayst rejoin our ranks. Until then, the tender ministrations of the Holy Sisters shall revive thee, if it be God's will that thou outlive thy wound. Thy fellow sword brethren pray for thy swift recovery, for they cannot allow thee to ripe and rot in decadent luxury whilst they sacrifice themselves. Perhaps thou canst make thy sword arm useful to good Archbishop Giza until such time as we return to collect thee. May the tidings of the Lord be upon thee, Sir Cuthbert.
Okay, so a bit of recap. We play as Christof Romuald, a French Catholic crusader. The game takes place in the 1100s after Christof is wounded in battle. He was taken to Prague, where a local convent provided him what care they could give. One nun in particular, Agnieszka, was largely responsible for his survival. And he's pretty. Furthermore, Prague is beset by strange creatures known as Schlachta that raid the town at night, emerging from an abandoned mine. With his order having moved on, Christof has seen fit to lend his experienced sword arm to protect Prague until they come to retrieve him. As we go to leave the convent, we see Agnieszka, and also see our cursor change when we hover it over her. NPCs that glow blue and change our cursor to this icon are friendly, at least for now, and we can talk to them.
Oh, sir, I pray for thy safety on so perilous a journey.
Okay, so she doesn't have much to say right now, but she does actually pray for us, and that gives us this buff, which increases our health generation. This is a very important buff. I know some people have quit this game in the first hour, and it's for reasons that this buff greatly alleviates.
The cheerful daylight world belies the horrors that prowl by night. How can the good people of Prague go about their business with such evil abroad in the land?
We're now free to roam the town of Prague, and we immediately sight a dastardly foe and rush headlong to vanquish them. Book barrels. For our efforts, we are awarded with healing salves, which are, well, healing potions. Since this is a usable item and we have free quick use slots, it goes into one of them. Otherwise, it would go into our inventory, which looks kind of familiar, don't it? Anyway, we get 2 healing salves, which will certainly be useful in our assault on the mine. Wanting to make friends in our new town, we talked to some guards.
Hail and well met, Crusader.
Hail and well met to thee, Knights of St. John.
'Tis good to hear the voice of a fellow Frenchman. We Knights of St. John are far from home, and I would we were back in France.
Say not so. We should gladly go to the ends of the earth in service to our Lord. Good day to thee.
So I don't know about you, but Christof's voice acting makes my butt wet. What I mean is, this game has some of that good old 90s PC game voice acting. You know, the kind where characters switch between sounding like great Shakespearean actors and one of the programmer's brother's friend's sister who just happened to be in the office that day. This game tends to have a good ratio though, and I'd say the voice acting can be a real highlight. Now you may have noticed on this map that there's no indicator of where exactly we are. The green diamond here indicates the general area that we're in this case Old Town, but otherwise we'll have to navigate by actually reading a map. What is this, the caveman era? We can go to the mine straight away, but there's actually a bit of stuff we can do before that. First, we'll stop by the Cathedral of St. Thomas and speak to Archbishop Giza.
God save and protect thee, his soldier, his wrath, and vengeance.
That plop sound was him giving us a disease vaccine, which is actually really useful for the area to come, so thanks, Giza! Anyway, if we want friends, no better place to start than the inn.
Hail, good Sir Knight, and welcome. They do say you seek to cleanse the minds of evil. Oh, these demons have brought great suffering to the good people of Prague. Our craftsmen have no silver for their wares, and many proud families now beg for their bread. Please, accept all that my humble inn can provide, and the blessings of the Lord be upon your quest.
Well, you see, new friend. He even gives us a healing elixir, a more powerful healing salve. Our next stop is the local blacksmith, where we can replace our war-weary armor. Oh, okay, Christof, it's my video, man, come on.
Hail, good Sir Blacksmith. I am Christof of the Sword Brethren, and I seek to replace armor lost in battle.
Ho there, young Crusader. I be Jiri Borajov, and the very boards of me humble shop are honored to be trodden by a sword brethren. And who will ye be slaying in your new armor?
I seek to slay the demons in the silver mines to the east.
You look a bit sickly, Sir Christof. If ye do seek to spill the blood of the fiends in the mine, ye'll be needing special protection.
The protection of the Lord suffices. I need no more than that.
Ha! Tell that to your armor and sword. Nay, 'tis gypsy charms I be speaking of.
Aid from a gypsy? Can such a thing be godly?
Why, did not King Saul seek out a wise woman and her familiar spirit in his time of need? Yea, that very King Saul, who had once banished all witches, sought a witch when he needed to learn of his future. She summoned the spirit of Samuel the prophet, and no mistake, 'tis in the Holy Bible.
There is wisdom in thy words. I will go to this gypsy.
You must promise me that the gypsy will come to no harm by my telling.
I promise.
Go ye to the Golden Lane, where you'll find an herbal shop run by the old gypsy woman, Unorna. There ye shall find something to aid ye surely. God be with ye, young one.
We're taken to the shopping screen. On the right here is our current silver, and on the left is everything the vendor is selling and their prices. We can buy or sell items by clicking on them and hitting one of these two buttons. This guy is a blacksmith, so most of what he sells are weapons or armor. I'll go over what these two things actually do and how our character's stats affect them when we get to combat. But for now, Christof's starting broadsword is good enough. We buy a buckler and go on our way. No, you can't equip stuff from the shopping screen. You gotta go in the inventory and do it there. I'm going to be completely honest here. I do not know if the word gypsy in the context it's being used here is offensive. So we'll go with Unorna. To get to Unorna, we have to go to Golden Lane, which we get to by way of the Judith Bridge. As we enjoy a nice stroll, I'd like to point out how movement works. You may notice that sometimes Christof will kind of waddle instead of run, and that's because in order to run, you need to click a certain ways away from your character. The walk can be kind of annoying sometimes, but it does help to finesse around some of the more confined areas of the game. We take a right at the end of the bridge and enter Golden Lane.
The shop of a gypsy witch. Dare I enter such a place?
We do dare.
Hello, young one. What is it you desire?
I desire only to bring the Lord's justice to the evil that has befallen this city. I would know of the devils that rule the night in Prague.
They are vampires. The undead. The blood drinkers. The fiends to hide their miserable carcasses away in mines and crypts under the earth. For the very rays of the sun to scald the flesh from their bones. It is quite a sight, and a stench, the like of which you'll ne'er forget.
Then perhaps I shall show them the glory of the breaking dawn before dealing them their final mercy.
Weapons cannot kill the fiends, lest their heads be cleft from their undying bodies. You will need more than a buckler of faith to aid you.
See, there are vampires in this game. The title didn't lie. Unorna actually doesn't have anything we want right now. We're mostly here for information.
Go with God, young one. And be sure to be within the warmth of a hearth when the sun falls. For the foes you have seen are but a small part of the wickedness that walks the streets of Prague by night.
I shall send all such wickedness back to hell.
The only other building we can possibly enter in Golden Lane is the local pharmacy, which is locked. But I mean, this is the 1100s. All they got in there is probably leeches and rat piss or something. Going left at the end of Judith Bridge leads us to Petrin Hill, in a large monastery-looking building surrounded by monks. There's nothing for us here, so we head back to Old Town. In front of the University of Prague, we find an old man and have a lovely conversation with his back.
Take care outside the gates of the city, good Sir Knight, for all those that wander the highways alone after nightfall are seldom heard from again. Even the strongest of warriors have disappeared. The streets of Prague are no longer safe after dark, but beyond the city walls, all hell walks the night. Hell that disgorges from yonder castle of Viscerad.
Oh, watch where you're spitting, dude. Past him is the gate to the Bon Mountains and our destination.
Beware the mines, Crusader. If mere men could kill the Hellspawn, we Knights of St. John would have slain them long ago.
We lock these gates as the last rays of the sun die in the mountains. Pass within before dark, or wait without until dawn. I pray for thy safe return.
I didn't skip on that last word, that's just an issue with some lines of dialogue. The mine is just a short stroll from the gate, which, yeah, this game takes a lot of liberties with scale. Like, in real life, Prague was and is a huge city, but you don't really get a sense of that here.
These carts still hold their ore. The diggers have fled this place in haste, and the fiends have not seen fit to continue such honest labor.
Damn lazy schlachta, we hid into the mine to give them a piece of our mind.
The odor of freshly mined earth is laden with the foul stench of death.
As we head into the mine... Why is everybody interrupting me in this game? We find the source of the scream next to some healing salves he clearly didn't use.
What mystery lies moldering here? This poor soul died without a wound, save a bit of blood at the throat.
We're immediately attacked by a schlachta, so I'll go over a bit of how combat works in Redemption. Now, you may be getting flashbacks watching this game, thinking, you know, this seems familiar to something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Well, I'm about to blow your mind, because this game borrows heavily from, that's right, Nox.
No.
Okay, obviously, though it's not isometric, this game takes a lot of inspiration from Diablo. You click on stuff to make it die, get loot, repeat. It's also worth mentioning that this game had a heavy emphasis on multiplayer when it first came out, and some still play it to this day. The single-player campaign's design kind of clashes with the Diablo-style gameplay, but there's still a fairly enjoyable hack and slash here. The game uses some of the base concepts of the tabletop RPG Vampire the Masquerade, but basically none of them work as they do in any edition of that game. To start with, each character has what are called attributes. Strength does what you'd think, making a character's melee attack hit harder and acting as a requirement for heavier weapons and armor. Dexterity is perhaps the most important stat, as it has a direct effect on how often they hit with both melee and ranged weapons. It is also checked to see if something hits our character, so basically it's really good. It's also needed in order to wield some ranged weapons. Stamina reduces the damage characters take when hit. It is important to note that this does not increase health, which remains static. Higher stamina means that when a character is hit, they soak more of that damage, meaning reduce it. There are 3 types of damage: lethal, bashing, and aggravated. Lethal damage comes from things that are typically seen as lethal, sharp things like swords or daggers. Bashing damage represents blunt force from things like clubs or fists. Aggravated damage is a bit harder to get into right now, but typically this represents fire or damage from supernatural sources. In the pen and paper game, stamina interacts differently with these 3 kinds of damage, and some creatures can't soak certain kinds of damage at all, but here everyone can soak everything, and armor can increase this protection. Armor can have special properties, but its base forms will simply provide varying defense against these 3 kinds of damage. Weapons act similarly. Every weapon deals 1 kind of damage, typically lethal or bashing. Many weapons also have an accuracy stat, which is added to a character's dexterity to determine if their attack hits. Finally, weapons have a set speed, which obviously shows how fast a character will attack with it. The higher speed, the faster. Characters can equip accessories like jewelry or gauntlets. These typically don't provide additional defense, but boost other attributes or have other special effects. There are several other attributes, but to be frank, they aren't being used for now. So, for the sake of brevity and not spoiling too much, we'll end this lesson here. Class dismissed. The Schlachta aren't too big of a threat. We usually run into them in packs of at most 3, which can get out of hand if luck doesn't go our way, but typically Christof will prevail. This is where the buff Aneska gave us comes very much in handy, as otherwise we'd have to rely on healing potions to keep our health up, which obviously can run out. Throughout the mines we'll be picking up silver coins and gold pouches, both of which just add a small amount of money to our inventory. Some cash! There is no map for the mine, so it can be kind of easy to get lost. But like most games, if we find something to hit, we're probably going the right way. In addition to the Schlachta, we'll be facing giant rats and their big brothers, ghoul rats. These are even less of an individual threat than the Schlachta, but usually attack in greater numbers. The real threat, however, is the ability to inflict us with a disease. This disease will do steady damage over time to Christof and can be removed with disease vaccines like the one we got from the Archbishop. A lot of people who rush headlong into this section of the game usually get quite frustrated because the several fights within tend to whittle down your health and most of the damage you take is left up to pure luck. Still, the game does give you advantages here, you just gotta look for them in the town beforehand. Eventually we come across a chest that contains a fine-ass broadsword. Loot in this game is a mix of random and set, and I honestly don't know every instance of set loot, so I can't really point them out. But the fine broadsword does 10 more damage than our base broadsword, so we switch it in. After killing a few more rats, we find an entrance to deeper... Oh, hold on, I gotta save real quick. Okay, we go deeper into the mines. Here we find a bottle of holy water, a usable item that we can throw on enemies. This deals aggravated damage to them, making it a very useful commodity in the mine. The enemies here don't change, just more rats and Schlachta. We do find a shield, however.
I reclaim this treasure from the clutches of evil and reconsecrate it to a godly purpose.
The reason you heard the choir there is this shield is a blessed shield, meaning a human with at least 50 faith can wield it. Faith is a stat similar to humanity, but one that isn't all that important for the single-player campaign. It represents a character's faith in whatever it is they believe in, not necessarily God, but in Christof's case, he has exactly 50 faith in God. How neat. Further in, we find a rat. But this is a good rat. He's our rat now. He's named Bubby. Part of the reason this area can kill a player's enthusiasm for the game is, at the moment, all we have access to is Christof hitting things with his sword. This means the only way we're really interacting with the game is telling it to roll some dice and tell us if we won. As such, there isn't much to the mines other than slapping some schlachta. Inventory is handled like, you guessed it, Diablo, where items have different sizes and you kinda have to play inventory Tetris to get them to all fit. Our fine broadsword and blessed shield are really all we need right now, so we're mostly holding healing potions and stuff to sell later on. And Bubby. Eventually we come to this area where we're stopped by a big puddle of water. I guess it's nasty mine water, so I don't blame Christof for not wanting to go past. We also see a water wheel contraption and a lever, so we pull it. This will drain the water, but it's actually really slow, so we go off while it works. Oh, that's a big boy over there. Yeah, these are my kind of enemies. We come back to find the water drained. Unfortunately, a warghoul liked all that water there, so he's mad at us now. We give him some more water, but he doesn't like that water. The fight with the warghoul goes fairly smoothly here, but if you don't have Aneska's blessing, it can get pretty hairy if you get unlucky. Past the warghoul, we fight a few more schlachta and rats, getting diseased in the process. Also, our blessing is gone. As you can see by the blue bar that represents our health, it's a good thing we got some vaccines. A little further on, we find some peculiar architecture for a mine and head down. So yeah, I think we're getting to the end.
Blasphemy! Let the builders of this mockery of a holy cathedral show their wicked faces. Out, blaspheming wretch! Taste the steel of righteousness!
I am Ultra, the Unliving, and I bid thee welcome to my domain. Although I have found thee an inhospitable and ungrateful guest.
God strike thee down, she-devil! Accursed creature! Earth has no room for such as thee!
Verily, all the earth is all dominion. With every passing day our numbers swell. We shatter all defenses and corrupt all holy places. To which we shall rule all the Prague, and everyone, mortal and canine alike, will tremble at our coming.
Hellspawn, the purity of the holy places protects them from thy evil.
Purity can be sullied, and holiness can be defiled. The Methuselah of Visceral shall awaken soon. He shall defile all that is pure, and leave corruption in his wake. In defilement lies his strength. Purity is sweet meat to him, as thy rich blood is sweet wine to me.
Die, thou damned beast. God hath spat thee out of heaven in ancient times, and now I scourge thee from the earth. Die, and burn far from the sight of God.
The fight with Azra can go one of two ways. She either hits us or she doesn't, and there's not much else we can do. She'll periodically summon Schlachta, which only increases our chance of getting hit too many times. If we do get hit though, we have plenty of healing potions, so it's a good thing we used them at the right time and didn't die. You okay there, Christof? Yep, with some healing potions and some holy water, the fight goes perfectly.
Foul misery! I offer thee no last rites. The sweet redemption of our Lord is forbidden to the likes of thee. Thou hast no home now but the eternal torments of hell!
Whoa, sudden level up screen. In Redemption, you use accumulated experience to level up your attributes directly. The higher an attribute is, the more it will cost to raise it further. At the moment, we'll be getting our physical attributes, strength, dexterity, and stamina, to equal levels. Now, before we continue on, I'd like to introduce a segment I'll be doing in this series. You see, I'm a huge Vampire the Masquerade nerd, so I kind of want to theorize about it in relation to this game. I'm giving a warning now because it's possible these segments could have spoilers for the rest of the game. I'll try not to do it, but it's possible that I will give away some information about vampire lore that the game itself will explain in future episodes. I will have this symbol present whenever I'm doing one of these nerdy-ass diatribes, so if you don't want to listen, skip ahead in the video to where you don't see it anymore. What I want to talk about in this first one is something you might have questions about if you too know a bit about vampire. How in the ever-loving hell did Christof not only fight through an army of Schlachta on his own, but best as Zemisi in combat? Now, if you do not know, and I feel okay saying this here because I don't think the game brings it up, but Schlachta are not actually vampires. They're ghouls, which are living creatures given vampire blood to be made stronger. A ghoul has better physical capabilities than the average human, let alone a full vampire like Azra. Now, I know the answer is this is a video game. We needed to be able to beat Azra because she was the end boss. I get it. But I think we can weasel some kind of logical explanation out of this. The Schlachta that Azra created just seem to be kind of weak, pathetic creatures. Again, if you don't know, Schlachta are ghouls specific to the certain kind of vampire Azra is, and they kind of make them out of whatever they want. The war ghoul we fought was a better example of what most Schlachta would be like. So we could maybe surmise from this that Azra is a very new vampire. She might not have full control of her powers, which is maybe why she didn't dominate Christof the moment he set in the mine. We also know Christof does have some measure of true faith. True faith is the idea that a person of deep enough faith can actually repel the powers of a vampire. Now, Christof is not in possession of true faith. The game even shows he only has half the amount of faith he could have. But maybe, if Azra was a new vampire, which might also explain her boastful sentiments and behavior, his faith and just general skill in warfare could have maybe let him get lucky and strike down a vampire. Now, this kind of falls apart when we consider even if Azra was newly embraced, she'd still be like a 9th or 8th generation vampire, but that's where I'm at in my head canon. Okay, back to the video games. As we head out, we find something on the ground.
An amulet of St. Jude. 'Tis an omen. If I redeem so holy a relic from this ungodly tomb, surely the saint shall grant me his favor.
Thankfully, there's an exit to the first level of the mine, so we don't have to run through the full dungeon again. We exit without any resistance and talk to those guards who didn't believe in us.
Who comes there? Ah, the Crusader ends his day in retreat. Back for another rest in the nunnery?
All of Prague may rest. I have claimed the head of the Demon Queen.
Praise be to Christof, champion of Prague.
Yay, we're heroes. We go to tell our friends, starting with the blacksmith.
The bells of Prague do ring out your victory, Christof. The whole city prizes your handiwork.
And I prize thine.
And then we sell them shit. Then we head to the Cathedral of St. John to tell the Archbishop what a good job we did.
I am newly returned from the silver mines. The evil therein is no more.
The splendor of the Lord rains down upon thee, Christof. I give thee this wrought silver cross for thy labors.
I would hear all thou knowest of vampire lore, that I might fight them more wisely.
They are evil. That is all thou need knowest. I do not corrupt my soul with knowledge beyond that.
I thank thee.
Ugh, typical hack-and-slash GM just wants to try and kill us with his monsters. The cross he gives us increases our faith by 5, which again doesn't really do much for us right now.
Hurrah! Hurrah for Christof! The mines are safe again. All hail the crusading hero of Prague. Hurrah!
We thank thee for restoring the mines. We finally have new silver to craft and sell. God bless thee, Sir Christof.
My heart warms to see the good people rejoice so, and yet Azra's words chill me to the core. I fear that evil endures in Prague.
Good morrow, milady.
Good morrow, my lord. We give thanks that the mines are restored to godly condition, and we rejoice to see thee in health after such danger.
Yet there is danger in health, for I must forego thy tender ministrations.
My lord.
Yet now I suffer a new affliction, for which thou hast the only cure.
I shall serve thee in any way I can, my lord.
I have retrieved a sacred relic, milady, the amulet of St. Jude. I wouldst give it thee, milady, for thy devoted care.
I take no gifts. The Lord's work is favor enough.
It is the dearest of all I have, and thou art the dearest of all I have not. Please, keep this for my sake.
Christof's got a quash.
Good day, Archbishop Giza.
Explain thy intentions toward good sister Inesca. I command thee to speak only truth before God.
I find her the fairest of all God's creatures, and bemoan the cruel fate that hath placed her beyond my reach. In another time and place, we might have found happiness together as man and wife.
Such thoughts are evil. Thy concupiscence damns thy soul and dooms Inesca. I command thee, purge such lusts from thy heart, if not for thy sake, then for hers. Do not tempt her away from her holy orders, thou wicked, selfish boy. She is out of thy star, and is not for the likes of thee. Her place is with me, with us, here in the convent. And thy place is out in the wilderness, striking the fear of God into the hearts of the heathen. If thou art strong enough to entertain such lusts, thou art strong enough to return to thy regiment.
Alas, they are too far away.
Well, the streets of Prague are still host to unclean demons. Perhaps thou shouldst destroy these abominations to expend some of thy hot blood.
I must protest. My place is here. The demon queen confessed they sought to defile holy places. 'Tis my duty to protect these hallowed grounds when next they attack.
Thy archbishop shall dictate thy duty. Hunt them in the streets.
I obey, but I shall protect the streets in front of the cathedral and convent as well.
I shall be watching thee, thou immoral lad.
So yeah, Giza's not a good guy, is he? Our duty is to patrol the streets, but we're not quite sure what that means in the context of a video game, so we head over to the bar, of course.
Behold, 'tis the Crusader, the demon slayer who purifies the minds. Raise your cups in his honor. To Christof.
I like the barkeeper guy. He's a good guy. We find a few Schlachta in the streets, but it isn't until we return to the road of the convent that real trouble shows up.
Oh, 'tis the little warrior. I bet you're soft and tender inside your tin britches.
I'll eat your gizzard while it's still attached to your quivering body. This is thy payment for bringing final death to Ozra the Unliving.
These guys are no joke. When we talked to Inesca, we received her blessing again, which is greatly appreciated here. Otherwise, we'd be at the complete mercy of RNG far more than we have before.
Allowance from within the convent. Inesca, I will protect thee. The Archbishop be damned.
We heal up and make haste to the convent.
Christof, thou hast brought evil into this holy place. This taint follows thy soiled soul.
It burns. The she-cow's vile purity burns like unto the sun.
Back to the abyss, hellspawn. Thou art anathema in the eyes of God. Die and be damned!
Away with thee! We forbid thee to defile this holy place!
This fight can also lead to a lot of reloading if RNG doesn't go our way. Thankfully it does, and we vanquish the revenants.
It appears that I am once again in thy debt, brave sir. for coming to us in our time of need.
As I am in thy debt for saving my life with thy tender care, and for thy uncommon valor in standing with me against the forces of hell.
I pray, my lord, that thou art always near to deliver us from this evil.
Milady, I pledge my arm to thy cause for as long as I draw breath and beyond.
Then I have faith in the safety of our humble convent.
His skill is great, and he fights with the strength of a demon.
His courage has opened the minds again. Think how the gift of Cain would enhance the might of such a man.
Aye. He has done great service to the Promethean cause by dispatching Azra without our involvement. But this decision must be made with surpassing care.
With so many of us missing, we need his sword in the coming tumult. The other clans are surely considering him for the embrace by now.
No doubt. But hast thou forgotten the power the Church wields over the minds of these mortals, Cosmas? His faith is the strength behind his steel. Stripped of his faith, would he be of any use to us, I wonder?
He has been cut from the herd by his wound. He's been separated from the heart of his sword brethren by many miles. Like any stray, he is more malleable. He may bend rather than break.
Thou art wise, Cosmas. How well thou knowest the hearts of men of war. Yet, I am not convinced.
The Premissils are enraged at his continuing interference in their plans. I have learned that they have now placed a rich bounty upon his head. He'll not outlive the next moon.
Get thee to the prince, and tell him that this night, Ekaterina the Wise awakens another into darkness.
Thy will is done.
And Cosmas, should this Christof falter or fail, he must fall.
Milady Inesca, I must speak with thee.
Hush, lest thou rouse the convent with thy clamor.
I have wandered the city for hours, yet each turn of the streets did lead me back here.
My lord, 'tis dusk. Thou shouldst not be out of doors. Fiends shall soon be legion.
I would fight all fiends of hell to stand at thy door.
And how may our holy order assist his lordship this eve?
Milady, thou must hear me. I sought to tell thee once before, but fear took my voice.
What power could daunt the man who hath faced demons from hell?
The face of an angel from heaven.
Oh, my lord,
Thou hast struck me a wound that heals not. My life's blood pours out before me, and I cannot stanch it. I do love thee, fair Inesca. I do love thee with a passion I have never known.
My lord, I must protest. Such love is an affront to heaven.
If thou deny me, I am undone.
I cannot deny thee. I too am afflicted with a wound for which thou art the only cure. My soul fell when first I beheld thee, and now my heart is cleft in twain. My love of God and my love of thee have torn me to ribbons, for I must betray one to keep faith with the other.
Thus my sins do pour out before me, for I have spilt my wickedness upon thy innocent bosom.
Nay, 'tis my wanton desire that hath ensnared thy virtuous heart. I was a fool to confess my heart to thee. Gladly would I imperil mine own soul, but never thine.
Then truly we are lost. Our souls are beyond all hope of redemption.
My lord, look thou at the locket thou didst give me. 'Tis the locket of St. Jude, the patron saint of lost causes.
Thus fate makes a bitter mockery of our plight.
Say not so. Where the saints tread, hope follows. Mayhap St. Jude shall bring us hope past all hope. I pray we find a way.
I pray so too. Thy hopeful words have filled my heart with courage, and I can leave satisfied. Farewell, fair Inesca.
Nay, the streets are not safe at night. Thou must stay here in the convent till the sun shines again.
May God have mercy upon my soul. for the devil has just placed into my heart the most impure of notions. I do tremble to confess it, but I feel I would cast away all holiness to stay. I would exchange an eternity of heaven's bliss for one night by thy side.
Know thee that thou art not alone in such desires.
Then truly I am damned. I am condemned for my lust, but I must not drag thee into the abyss with me. I must flee this holy place and return no more.
My lord, come back!
Hold fast.
Release me! I command thee!
Thou struggles nobly. I love such passion. A lesser man could not even speak in my grasp.
What art thou? A demon sent from hell?
I am here to save thee, Christof. To deliver thee from thy mortal shackles.
By the power of the Lord Eternal, I banish thee from my presence.
Poor child. Thy faith died long ago. Amidst a dread battle, thou came to know thy true nature. Thou art a killer of men, no matter how thou dost try to justify thy deeds. Thou kills not when compelled by God, but when ordered by men. Now come to me. I am the mother of thy rebirth.
I know thy ways, demon, and I have lore enough to kill thee.
Nay, thou art helpless in my hands as a naked babe.
Nay! Oh, nay! Water. Aneska. Water, I beg of thee. I thirst. I starve.
I am Ekaterina the Wise, Ekaterina the Promethean, Ekaterina, the leader of the Bruja clan. We are the children of Cain, and now thou art one of us.
God have mercy on my soul. I am damned.
Steady now, whelp. Thou lackst the strength to fight, and I would slice thee in twain without hesitation.
Thou must feed, my child, before the hunger overtakes thee and drives thee mad.
Am I now a miserable demon? Stealing blood to live? Damned and cursed to hell? Is this all that remains of noble Christof?
Nay, my child. There is far more to thee than ever before. Thou art Bruja now. We Bruja are the philosophers of Cain's lineage. Where other clans treasured gold and trinkets, we sought pure wisdom. We strove to unravel the thorny knots that bind the very gates of heaven. Are we damned? Nay, we are exalted. In fabled Carthage, we lived in concordance with all mortals. Together we sought the secrets of Eden, that the children of Cain and the children of Seth would be raised up. But the hated Ventru grew jealous of our power. The patrician clan betrayed us and tried to destroy us. We survived, but fabled Carthage did not. Despite this great loss, We Prometheans continue our search for harmony with all mortals.
We are the most noble of our breed, Christof. We seek only the fulfillment of the dream that was Carthage. But we need thy help to achieve this goal. A war lies ahead. A terrible battle that calls for warriors like us.
Wars among devils do not concern me.
We will cause thee to think otherwise, whelp.
Enough, Cosmos! The Bruja blood needs time to cool. Come, let us leave our young one to think upon his situation. But know this, Christof. Thou would have been killed or embraced by our enemies on this night. We have given thee life eternal, and awakened thee to the true face of thy world. I do not expect gratitude, but our clan requires loyalty or death.
There is no life in me. Even my heart has ceased to beat. My very soul has been stripped from me. There is nothing left for salvation or damnation.